Hello there and a very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Dissanayaka. Let's start off with a look at your headlines tonight.
Who recommended to administer only one dose of the Sputnik vaccine?
මේකට එක්ස්පර්ට් කමිටි එකක් දැම්ම මේ සම්බන්ධව තීන්දුවක් අරගත්තා. මේ රටක තියෙන තත්ත්වයන් අනුව ස්පුට්නික් එක ඩෝස් එකක් හෝ මේ මොහොතේ ප්‍රමාණවත් වෙනවා මේක විවප්ත වීම නතර වීම නතර කිරීම සඳහා. ඒ අනුව තමයි මේ තීන්දුව අරගෙන ඒ වැඩපිළිවෙල ක්‍රියාත්මක කරේ.
මාත්‍රා දෙකෙන් පළවෙනි මාත්‍රාව පමණක් සෑහීමකටපත් වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා දැනට එහෙම තීරණයක් අරගෙන නැහැ. ව්‍යාජ ප්‍රචාර වලට අසත්‍ය ප්‍රචාර වලට රැවටෙන්න එපා.
Police headquarters to be relocated to Athidiya. Will the decision to claim lands of Dissanayaka College to the UDA be reversed? Court order issued barring the captain of the Express Pearl and 3 others from leaving the country. Navy divers investigate suspected water leak on the vessel. Cabinet green lights proposal to import organic fertilizer for the Maha harvesting season.
Now, operations were carried out across the country to arrest individuals who violate quarantine regulations.
Operations were carried out across the country to identify individuals who misuse the letters issued for essential service employees while travel restrictions are in effect. Inspections were carried out at the Mahara police checkpoint along the Colombo main road today. This was the manner in which the police captured photographs of certain vehicles and drivers. Similar operations were carried out in the Peliyagoda Orugodavatta and Maligavatta areas. Individuals travelling without a valid permit were returned to their homes. Officers attached to the Valikada police station inspected vehicles entering Colombo from Rajagiriya. Police officers inspected a bus transporting customs officers in Mount Lavinia today. The bus had been transporting passengers above the permitted limit. Meanwhile, search operations were carried out by the police in Kirulapana today. The police special task force officers assisted in the operations. Inspections were carried out in the Kalutara and Panadura towns as well.
Meanwhile, teams of the Sri Lanka Army Rapid Response Motorcycle Squadron and foot soldiers engaged in inspection tours in Kandy and its vicinity.
Meanwhile, 6 other individuals who had attended a party at a 5-star hotel in violation of quarantine regulations were arrested by the police today. Police spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana said that the suspects included a female. Yesterday, actress Piyumi Hansamali and makeup artist Chandimal Jayasinghe had been arrested and released on bail after they attended the party. Meanwhile, Venerable Murutettuwe Anandathero responded to remarks made by the Health Minister recently on the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. I have made a written request from the Health Ministry, the Prime Minister, the Health Secretary and the Health Minister seeking the second dose of the vaccine. Health Minister Pavitra Waniarachchi had expressed foolish remarks on this matter recently. The first and the second dose of the vaccine were administered with the knowledge of the Health Minister. Against such a backdrop, if she says that she cannot bear responsibility, then that is a sign of a mental illness.
මේ පිට වගකීමක් දන්නේ නැහැ කියලා කිව්වා. එතුමියගේ මොලේ ආබාධයක් තියෙන්න ඕන. අගමැතිතුමාගේ ලියුම මා ළඟ තිබෙනවා. එතුමියට ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම අපි ළඟ තිබෙනවා. මේ සියල්ලම පැහැරලා ජනතාවට
I have the letters sent to the Prime Minister and the Minister. If they are misleading the people by disregarding these letters, then I express my regret over that. It's true that we voted this government into power. However, now we have been deceived and defeated.
රැවටුණා වැරදුණා කියන කතාව පමණයි. මට හැමදාම කියන්න වෙලා තිබුණේ.
A group of junior staff attached to the Colombo National Hospital staged a protest citing that they are yet to receive a solution to their demands. The Joint Health Services Union had organised the protest. The protest staged by healthcare personnel had been centred around several issues, including the failure to receive permanent employment, COVID-19 allowances, vaccines and protective gear. These workers are staging an indefinite hunger strike opposite the National Hospital.
We wish to inform the government that we are resorting to a satyagraha. At the same time, we are capable of carrying out similar demonstrations at all hospitals. This satyagraha will be carried out indefinitely.
This was the manner in which transport facilities were offered to healthcare personnel this afternoon. Healthcare workers also staged protests at the Nagoda, Teldeniya and Kalubowila hospitals.
What is the situation pertaining to administering only one dose of the Sputnik vaccine?
Obtaining consent from people in Kandy to administer only one dose of the Sputnik vaccine was carried out today as well. However, the crowds gathered at the vaccination centres had objected the move, demanding for the second dose to be administered as well.
කිව්වා මේ ආපහුව මේ පළවෙනි මාත්‍රාවට විතරක් කැමති කියලා ලියලා අස්සම් කරන්න කිව්වා.
කවුද කපන්න කිව්වේ?
මේ දැන් කවුද PHM මහත්තයා මේ ලියාගෙන ආවේ නම් සෙකන්ඩ් මාත්‍රාවත් ගන්න කැමති කියලා. ඒක එපා කපලා අස්සනක් දාලා දෙන්න කිව්වා අස්සනක් දාලා දුන්නා. ඉතින් ඒ කියන්නේ දින එක හරි ගන්න එපා. මේ මේකත් තියෙනවා.
While the Regional Director of Health for Kandy, Senaka Talagala, declined to comment on the issue, Deputy Director General of Health Services, Dr. Hemantha Herath, said he was unaware of it. Questions were raised on the matter during a cabinet media briefing today from Minister Keheliya Rambukwella, who represents the Kandy district.
An expert committee was appointed and it has decided, based on the situation of the country, at least one dose would suffice to curtail the spread of the virus. This is why this decision was made. Everyone should sign the consent form, even a person who admits him or herself to a hospital to undergo surgery. That is the same scenario which occurred in Kandy, but certain factions attempted to interpret this differently.
නියෝජ්‍ය සෞඛ්‍ය සේවා අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජෙනරාල් හේමන්ත හේරත් වෛද්‍යතුමා සඳහන් කරනවා ඒ අය දන්නෙත් නැහැ කියලා මෙහෙම සිද්ධියක් ගැන මේ එකක් විතරක් ගන්න මේ මත්සන් ගන්නවා.
ඔය ප්‍රශ්නේ ඇසිය යුත්තේ ඒ පුද්ගලයාගෙන් මොකද හේතුව එහෙමනම් ඒ අය අතරේ මේ සංවාදය වුණේ නැතිව ගැන ඒ අය අතරේ සාකච්ඡාවක් කළ යුතුයි කියන එකයි මට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ.
Sputnik V මාත්‍රා දෙකෙන් පළවෙනි මාත්‍රාව පමණක්.
If the Russian Institute notifies us that only administering the first dose of the Sputnik vaccine would suffice, we will make such a decision. However, no such decision has been made as yet. We will rely on their recommendations, so do not be deceived by false claims.
රඳා පවතින දෙයක්. ඒක නිසා ව්‍යාජ ප්‍රචාරවලට අසත්‍ය ප්‍රචාරවලට රැවටෙන්න එපා.
Pursuant to an inquiry by Newsfirst, the National Medicines Regulatory Authority said it had granted approval for the double-dose Sputnik vaccine. The State Pharmaceutical Corporation said 6.5 million vials each of the first and second doses of the Sputnik vaccine have been ordered. The SPC noted the two doses of the Sputnik vaccines are not similar to one another, unlike other brands. Is Sri Lanka purchasing Sinofarm jabs at a higher price?
A broad discourse has arisen over Sri Lanka's decision to purchase Sinofarm vaccines at $15 a dose when the same jab is believed to have been sold to Bangladesh at $10. On the 27th of May, Shah Ali Fahad, the special assistant to Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, tweeted that their cabinet had approved the allocation of funds worth $150 to purchase 15 million jabs. Following the tweet, several entities, including social media users, expressed dismay over the disparity in prices of the vaccines that were sold to Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. The Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka, taking to Twitter, said that Bangladesh has not signed the procurement agreement containing the prices of the jabs with the Sinofarm group yet. The embassy noted that the spread of misinformation has affected talks between both parties. Since it is China which is manufacturing the vaccines, then they have the right to comment on it. This vaccine is sold at varying rates between $18 and $40 based on discussions with the manufacturers. If an issue had occurred in their procurement process, then we can be challenged on that decision. The Sri Lankan government cannot comment on whether China had overpriced the vaccine at $15 while selling them to Sri Lanka, the rate at which it is being sold to Bangladesh, and also whether it is true or false. Only the Chinese government can comment on that.
Covishield ඒ කියන්නේ AstraZeneca එකේ ඉන්දියාවේ හදන මේක ගත්තේ ඩොලර් 5.25කට. මතක තියාගන්න තායිලන්තයට ඒගොල්ලෝ විකුණුව එක ඩොලර් 3.25කට.
The Covishield vaccine, also known as the AstraZeneca vaccine, which was manufactured in India, was brought at a cost of $5.25 per dose. Keep in mind that this was sold to Thailand for $3.25 per dose. Not just that, this was sold to Bangladesh for $5. The $5 cost can be broken down to $3.5 for the Covishield company and $1 for the local agent. The agent had agreed to bring over the stocks from India to Bangladesh and distribute them across the whole country. When you really look at it, Bangladesh only paid $3.5 to the Covishield company. Our pharmaceutical minister said that the country will receive 9 million Covishield vaccines, 300,000 Sinofarm doses, 11 million Sputnik vaccines and 6.2 million Pfizer vaccines by this December. Then the chairman of the State Pharmaceutical Corporation said that the order for 14 million Sinofarm vaccines has been placed. But the pharmaceutical minister says only 300,000 doses have been ordered. The chairman says 13 million Sputnik vaccines, but the minister says 11 million. The chairman says 5 million Pfizer vaccines, but the minister says 6.2 million. This is contradictory. Now one dose of these vaccines don't suffice. There is money involved in this. We purchased Sinofarm for $15, but Bangladesh only pays $10 for it. Now they say they will vaccinate 14 million people with a jab worth $5 each. That will amount to $70 million. When this was revealed, the Chinese embassy was prompted in answering instead of the Sri Lankan government. Now the second dose can't be brought down in 2 months. They haven't even ordered it. They don't even know how to place the order. Then they placed a rubber stamp to issue only one dose of the vaccine.
ඉන්න තානාපති කාර්යාලය ඉතාමත්ම කාර්යශීලීව ඔක්කොම උත්තර දෙනවා. ලංකාවේ ආණ්ඩුවට උත්තර දෙන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝම උත්තර දෙනවා මේ ගනුදෙනු ගැන. දැන් දෙවෙනි එකක් මාස දෙකකින් එන්න බෑ. ඇනවුම් කළවත් නැහැ. මේගොල්ලෝ ඇනවුම් කරන්න දන්නෙත් නැහැ. එතකොට උනේ මොකද? ගැව්වා සීල් එකක් වුණත් කමක් නැහැ ගාපිය කියලා මට.
In your latest COVID-19 update, Sri Lanka recorded 1,989 COVID-19 infections so far today. Accordingly, the country's total COVID-19 tally now stands at 188,353. Meanwhile, 1,631 infected individuals had recovered from the virus today. Official figures show that the total number of recoveries in the country is now at 153,371. 4 COVID-19 deaths have been reported yesterday. Also, the World Health Organization has given approval for the administration of the Sinovac COVID-19 vaccine for emergency use. Accordingly, the Sinovac vaccine will be the second Chinese jab to receive the World Health Organization's approval. While the COVID-19 pandemic continues to take a toll on the people's lives, farmers are facing bitter experiences due to the shortage of fertilizer.
Fertilizer had been brought to the Kadapola Dedicated Economic Centre in Nuwara to be distributed among farmers in the area. However, this was the manner in which the farmers had reacted at the location. Police had to be called to the location to ease the tensions. The distribution of fertilizer had been suspended temporarily with the intervention of police.
We received fertilizer only twice. The Agrarian Services Centre received 5 and 10 tons. This area is thickly populated by farmers. The existing stocks are not sufficient even for 5% of the farmers.
These were the scenes witnessed at the Kepetipola Agrarian Service Centre today. Farmers who cultivate potatoes had visited the Agrarian Service Centre to obtain the required fertilizer. The police had to be called to the location to quell the tensions.
They said that they would give us fertilizer. People are queued up to obtain fertilizer. There are about 200 of them. This entire area has only 100 fertilizer packs.
Some farmers had purchased fertilizer at 1,500 rupees, while several others had returned home empty-handed.
The responsible individuals have ignored the people. We are facing injustices even today. We came here at 6:30 in the morning. There is no point in shirking their responsibilities. We would not have to face this problem if this was provided to us on time.
Cabinet approval has been granted to purchase organic fertilizer from local and foreign suppliers for the Maha harvesting season. Yesterday, the Cabinet had decided to import organic fertilizer required for 500,000 hectares of paddy lands for the 2021 and 2022 Maha season through state-owned fertilizer companies and distributed through the Agrarian Services Department. The Cabinet had also granted approval to import organic fertilizer required for 600,000 hectares to cultivate other crops based on the recommendations of Organic Fertilizer Research Institutes. Specialized fertilizer required for non-edible ornamental plants and other plants would be allowed to be imported based on the recommendations of research institutes under a permit system.
There is a rumor circulating that the imported organic fertilizer contains urea mixed with waste material from China. Information has surfaced that a businessman is a member of this committee. Who will the tender be awarded to?
If there is such a challenge, then there is a method in which the government can undertake that challenge. A committee has been appointed and the government has decided to import organic fertilizer. Simply put, this is gossip that is being spread to bring disgrace to the government. Excuse me for using such language, but it is unfit to ask such unrelated questions in a forum such as this. This is a stern decision that is being implemented in the country. The rumours are part of a larger attempt to sabotage this plan.
Although the Cabinet spokesperson had expressed these remarks, the Soil Science Society of Sri Lanka said it is not in agreement with importing organic fertilizer as a scientific society, while pointing out that the requirement of organic fertilizer for rice and tea alone would be 11.5 million tons annually, and that the availability of materials would be the main constraint when the recommendations is made to go to 100% organic. The letter pointed out that there is a risk that invasive species, weeds and pathogens may enter the environment through organic fertilizers. The Soil Science Society of Sri Lanka observed that there is no standards in places or facilities available to test for emerging microplastics, antibiotic residues, organic pollutants and biological contaminants, which are commonly found in organic fertilizer. The group cautioned that importing organic fertilizer without a proper regulatory mechanism in place will cause massive complications.
The principal, president of the Old Boys Association and the secretary of the School Development Society of Dissanayaka College have said that it is the college which would benefit through the proposed project on its property. They pointed out that a portion of the land belonging to the college would not be lost due to this move. The statement noted that a request had been made from the president to provide a land area near Kingsley Road to the college and that the president had agreed to the request. The joint statement added that the college will not be affected as a result of the project and that a decision would be made following discussions with the relevant parties. During a media briefing today, the Director General of the Urban Development Authority said that he had instructed officials to withdraw the gazette that was issued to acquire the land area.
A gazette issued on the 19th of May vested 100 acres of land, including a portion of the area which houses a temple and the quarters of the principal and deputy principals of Dissanayaka College with the Urban Development Authority. During a media briefing today, it was revealed that the project would involve the construction of a multi-storied vehicle parking space.
We are hoping to construct a multi-storied vehicle parking space that can accommodate 250 vehicles on the top floors of the building. We hope to construct residential quarters for the principal and 3 deputy principals and then hand it over to the college once again. However, as Dissanayaka College and its Old Boys Union don't feel that the project is required, based on the instructions of the president, I instructed my officials to call off the project.
මට උපදෙස් දුන්නා ඒ ව්‍යාපෘතිය නවත්තන්න මම අදම උපදෙස් දුන්නා අපේ නිලධාරීන්ට ඒක අත්හැරලා දාන්න
දැන් මට ඊයේ රාත්‍රියේ අපේ හාමුදුරුවෝ කතා කරලා කිව්වා හාමුදුරුවනේ
A monk contacted me last evening and said that they are planning to clear lands near the Bauddha Loka temple. I spoke to Minister Nalaka Godahewa this morning. I told him to avoid destroying these lands and that thousands of monks are prepared to take to the streets in order to oppose these moves. I wish to challenge any individuals who attempt to clear our lands opposite temples. I had received a letter threatening that I would lose my life if I keep raising my concerns, but I'm not afraid of that.
Meanwhile, questions were raised from the Urban Development Authority Director General on moves to acquire a land that houses the girls' hostel of the University of Colombo along Muttaya Road in Colombo too.
අපි සැලසුම් කරා දැන් ඔතන තියෙන පරිසරය ඔය ගංගාරාමෙත් එක්ක තියෙන බේරේ වැවත් එක්ක තියෙන
We took the surrounding environment such as the Bere Lake and the Gangarame temple into consideration and to construct a park that suits the surrounding. It would seem like a green strip running up to the Bere Lake. That was our plan. However, if the university feels that the project is irrelevant, we will call off the project. What else can we do?
අත්පත් කරගෙන නමුත් විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය කැමති නැත්තම් ඕ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයට ඒක පාන. ඉතින් ඒක අත්තරලා දාන්න නැතුව වෙන මොනවද කරන්න කියන්නේ?
During the recent days, Newsfirst has continuously reported on attempts to hand over valuable properties with commercial value for investment projects through special purpose vehicles set up under an entity named Selandiva Private Limited. Some properties include the Gafoor Building, York Building, Grand Oriental Hotel and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
දැන් අපේ ඉඩකඩම් රටේ පොදු මහ
These lands are open for developers. We are taking these measures to develop the country's economy and to develop the industrial sector. When businessmen and investors visit these areas, we must create an environment that is conducive to them.
එනකොට ඒ ආයෝජකයට හරිලන පරිසරය අපි හදලා තියන්න ඕන.
කොළඹ 1 සහ 2 ප්‍රදේශවල වටිනා ඉඩම් චීන ව්‍යාපෘති සඳහා ලබා දීමේ සූදානමක් තියනවාද එහෙම වගේ සලස්මක් තියනවාද?
පළවෙනිම කියන්න තියෙන්නේ මේ සම්පූර්ණ බොරු ප්‍රචාරයක්.
Firstly, I wish to state that these are blatant lies. It is unfortunate to see that they are spreading such claims when efforts are being taken to develop buildings in a dilapidated condition that are not in use anymore. I feel that the opposition has misunderstood their responsibilities.
Meanwhile, the cabinet has granted approval to shift the police headquarters in Colombo Fort to a 14-acre land in Bellanthota and has also given the green light for the relevant procurement process. Shifting the police headquarters would see old buildings and lands surrounding York Street and Chaitya Road becoming vacant. In addition, steps are being taken to shift the People's Bank head office to Hyde Park in Colombo. The Army headquarters has already been established in Akuregoda, while the Navy and Air Force headquarters are also to be set up in that area. Accordingly, those lands would also become vacant. According to a cabinet paper tabled on the 17th of May, approval had been sought to establish a subsidiary of Rakna Arakshak Lanka Company by the name of Rakna Property Holdings Limited for a mixed development project. An 86.4-acre plot of land belonging to the Urban Development Authority along Philip Gunawardana Mawatha in Colombo 4 had been vested for this purpose, following which steps had been taken to construct the building in 2014 at a cost of 829.2 million rupees. However, a cabinet paper later requested approval to use the land for a mixed development project, including a commercial complex, as the land was not required to construct the head office of the Rakna Lanka Company. It has been proposed that a 20-storied building is to be constructed on this land for a 99-year lease period, while also utilizing a bank loan of 5.5 billion rupees. Rakna Lanka is required to pay 25% of the estimated taxes concerning the land at the time of entering into the agreement, while a 30-year grace period has been granted to settle the remaining 75%. A speciality is that the proposal has also requested an insurance claim for the expenses incurred for the construction that had occurred in 2014.
අපි අධිකරණයට ගියා ආදිවාසී නායකව අධිකරණයට ගියා උද්ඝෝෂණ කරා සමහරු මේවා
We went to courts. The indigenous leaders went to courts. We protested. They did not pay attention. We lamented that lands were given to Dole, to the Bogatate Company and Castle Ventures. In Bintan Uwavellasa, 65,000 acres were prepared to be handed over by preparing cabinet papers. 8,500 acres of the Trikonamadu Reserve were prepared to be given. Ministers raided the floodplains and prepared to construct roads to hand over lands to their friends. They came into power claiming that they will protect Vilpattu. But how did they start? 1,500 acres of Vilpattu were given to friends and dozered off for aloe vera plantations. What has happened now? In the capital of Colombo, a part of the Dissanayaka College has been gazetted to be handed over to a company. They are also trying to shift the Devi Balika Vidyalaya to another location and claim that land. They sold the port city lands to China. They promised to protect the nation, the religion. Now what is happening is that these rulers are selling national resources wrapped in the national flag with the seal of nationalism on it. Wake up now. We cannot save this country being caught up in the Rajapaksa obsession. Come out of that trance. When you open your eyes and see, you can see how our resources are being sold. If we unite at least now, we can end this plague.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has instructed to immediately tow the MV Express Pearl vessel to deeper seas.
Issuing a press release, the President's media division stated the decision to move the vessel, which caught fire while in an anchorage at the Colombo port, to the deep seas was made during a special meeting held earlier today at the Presidential Secretariat headed by the President. During the meeting, Minister of Ports Rohit Abegunawardena had apprised the President regarding all the information pertaining to the vessel since it set sail from the UAE on the 9th of May to the 19th of May when it reached the Colombo port. During the meeting, experts from marine protection agencies and relevant fields had pointed out that there is a great risk of the vessel sinking, which would in turn deal irreversible damages to the marine environment. Subsequently, the President had instructed the authorities to consult the Attorney General and exercise the powers vested with the Chairman of the Marine Protection Authority and immediately issue an order to tow the vessel to deeper sea. The President has further reiterated that this decision was made taking into consideration the technical facts of the matter and not to fulfill political agendas.
Colombo Additional Magistrate Priyantha Liyanage issued an order today preventing the captain, chief engineer and deputy engineer of the MV Express Pearl vessel from leaving the country.
The court issued this order considering a request made by the Criminal Investigations Department, who submitted a report pertaining to the investigations regarding the blaze on board the vessel. Meanwhile, media spokesperson of police, DIG Ajit Rohana, said the court ordered the CID to inspect the vessel along with the officers of the Government Analysts Department. The Sri Lanka Navy stated steps were taken to dispatch divers this afternoon to investigate a suspected leak in the vessel's stern. Posting a tweet, the Indian High Commission in Sri Lanka said, quote, Operation Sagara Raksha 2 reaches a milestone, unquote. Publishing photographs on the same tweet, the Indian High Commission said, quote, salvos have finally embarked on the MV Express Pearl after dousing the fire. Assessments are being carried out, unquote.
How did the blaze occur?
It is our responsibility to assist a vessel in distress. The fire had truly broken out after nearly 23 hours since they anchored at the outer harbour. We managed to control it with the resources we possess. We used 3 tugs. Unfortunately, due to a low pressure system which formed in the Bay of Bengal, a cyclonic storm occurred. Because of strong winds, the fire began to spread faster. This is the longest time operations of the port have been hampered in recent history.
How has the environment been impacted through the tragedy?
The west coastline of Sri Lanka has been dealt the highest damage as a result of the calamity. Certain material which fell overboard from the vessel have been located from the southern shoreline of the country as well. Environmentalists predicted from the outset that the southern shoreline of Sri Lanka could also be impacted due to the blaze. Plastic material which has washed ashore in coastal areas such as Waligama, Midigama, Gurubadula and Kalukanda have already begun polluting the pristine southern coastline of Sri Lanka, which is a popular tourist destination. Members of the armed forces and Coast Guard engaged in clean-up activities along the southern coast for a third day today. The Sarakkua beach in Pamunugama and the Nigambu beach were also cleared with the intervention of the Navy and Air Force. A Dutch company is currently monitoring the vessel and will be involved in assessing the damage and in the matter of claiming insurance. The same Dutch company was assigned this task when the MT New Diamond caught fire previously. However, authorities have received severe backlash against the non-receipt of compensation over the fire on board the MT New Diamond. There is a rumor that 2 or 3 people aligned with the government and are connected to arms dealing have brought down these teams and will pocket the compensation. This is a highly regarded company named Smith Salvage. They went to the location with our authorities and will board the vessel with our authorities. Stalwarts of the government have claimed, given the troubled times we are in, this compensation would be of assistance to us.
Can the blaze on board the vessel be taken lightly?
The red dot is the ship, and in the last few days, up until yesterday, you can see that we've actually had the plastic going. We know that it has been even found off Mathura and Dondra. But there is this material, a lot of this offshore. So they're actually going through. That's on the 31st. But what is happening is that see this little bit which is coming out by Friday, that is actually going all the way back. So now it's going to push the plastic all the way up north past Kalpiti. Because the plastic will never degrade. It doesn't sink into the ocean. So it'll be going back and forth, back and forth. When the monsoon finishes, the currents will go the other day. As I just said, it will go to Indonesia in about 40 to 50 days. And when the monsoon changes in September, October, it will go back and it will end up in Maldives. If all the plastics which was released from the containers are in the ocean, that's 3 billion particles. It will go to Sri Lanka. It will be all the way around Sri Lanka. It will go as far as Indonesia on one side, then of course Maldives, and then as far as Somalia. All of the strip of the Indian Ocean and also India.
This is footage of an incident believed to have taken place when a Sea Marshal Service company attempted to supply firearms to the Panama-registered MT Libra 2 off the coast of Galle. Although News First cannot independently confirm the veracity of these visuals, the vessel in these visuals can be identified as the MT Libra 2 vessel. Meanwhile, police and Sri Lanka Navy have launched an investigation into the incident where 36 weapons and ammunition belonging to a Sea Marshal Service company in Sri Lanka had fallen into the sea. Police have already recorded a statement from the crew members of the Gol Energy crew boat, which had carried the weapons to the MT Libra 2 vessel. However, a large quantity of weapons and ammunition, including 14 semi-automatic firearms, 2,414 rounds of ammunition, 56 bullet cases, 6 binoculars, 29 body armors and some other equipment are yet to be found.
China's National Health Commission has informed that a 41-year-old man in China's eastern province of Jiangsu has been confirmed as the first human case of infection with the H10N3 strain of bird flu. And that's a wrap of primetime news for tonight. For the News First team, I'm Dissanayaka College, along with our interpreter Brian De Cruz. Good night.